At the New Jersey SBDC Network, our mission is simple: to help businesses grow and succeed. Our consulting, training, and information services make it easier for businesses to reach their potential. Whether you're currently in operation or just starting out, we have the right tools, resources, and expertise to help you succeed. Visit us online to get started on your path to success today.
A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. My name is Takoa Bell. I am an event coordinator for the NJSBDC at Rutgers-Newark. And on behalf of Dr. Tendai Ndoro, the regional director, I would like to welcome you all to our Optimizing Your Business Model to Improve Profitability webinar. For those of you here that are unfamiliar with the SBDC, it stands for Small Business Development Centers. And here at the New Jersey Small Business Development Centers at Rutgers-Newark, we serve as the premier provider of business training and technical assistance services to establish small businesses, startups, and as well as to entrepreneurs. We are one of 12 centers in the NJSBDC network, and we service those in Essex County. Our center is hosted by the Rutgers Business School and funded through a partnership agreement between the Small Business Administration, Rutgers University, and the New Jersey Business Action Center. Our mission here is to help entrepreneurs as well as business owners start and grow sustainable, successful businesses through the delivery of one-on-one business consulting, training, and technical assistance programs. Now, these services are provided to you at no cost and are paid for by your tax dollars. If you or your business is located in Essex County, our website is www.rnsbdc.com. It is located on the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. And once you visit our website, on the top right-hand corner of our website, there's a button labeled Request Counseling that will lead you to fill out information, including the help you are seeking with your business. And within 24 to 48 business hours, a consultant will reach out to you for an assessment. For those of you that are not in Essex County, our other website is www.njsbdc.com. And on this website, you can type in your county and they will refer you to your local SBDC office. For the benefit of everyone attending today's webinar, at the moment, everyone is muted, but we will be taking questions via the chat feature, the Q&A feature, and you will have the ability to unmute yourselves to ask your questions that way as well. So feel free when the time comes to ask your questions, and we will do our best to respond during or at the end of the webinar. A copy of the presentation slides along with a video recording of this webinar will be emailed to you within 48 to 72 business hours. So that's 48 to 72 business hours. So you can refer to this information long after the end of the webinar. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you our presenter for today's presentation, Andrew Fraser. Andrew is the CEO and owner of Small Business Like a Pro and is an SBDC consultant here at the NJSBDC at Rutgers-Newark in the areas of finances, capital, loan packaging, and credit counseling. Now, without further ado, I will turn today's presentation over to Andrew.
All right, sorry about that. Just needed to get the unmuted, but thanks again to Cora. Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to be here and be able to spend some time with you guys talking about, how to improve your profitability. Very important concept and thing to know as a business owner, because it's great to have sales, but it's even better to have profits. And your job as a business owner is to make sure your business is as profitable as possible. So we're going to talk about how do you do that? What is the key to doing that? So definitely appreciate everyone joining in. Just before we get started, we want to see who's in the room. We got quite a few people just let me know, if you're in business or if you're not yet in business. So yes, if you're in business, not yet if you're not yet in business, just to get a feel for sort of who got on the seminar this afternoon. So, okay, don't be shy. And also, you know, uh, if you're up to it, I always like to see people. So if you can, add your image, or, you know, show your camera. It's always nice to be talking to people rather than just talking to boxes with names in it. And, the way I like to do it, thanks Sharon, thanks Pratish, thanks Tanisha. Um, Great, great. And I think we got a couple more people. So just let me know if you're in business. Okay. All right, great. Hey again. So definitely it looks like we're starting out. And actually that's not a bad thing, because even if you haven't started yet, it's nice to be able to start your business and understanding how to make it profitable, because then you can set it up that way from the beginning and thinking about your business in the right way. So definitely uh, look forward to chatting with you about how to optimize your business model to improve profitability. So let's get started. If you guys are ready to get started, just type ready in the chat real quick, and then we'll get started. Okay. So go ahead and just type ready. Okay, great. Thanks, Michael, Sharon, Javier. Okay. All right. Great. So, talking about optimizing your business model to improve profitability, let's just take a look at what the course is all about, what we're going to be talking about. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your business model. That's critical as a business owner to know your business model and understand it. And unfortunately, many business owners don't really know or understand their business model. So you can't work on your business model if you don't know what it is. So first, excuse me, if you can, just type in the chat. If you know what your business model is or what a business model is, type yes. And if you don't, type no. And if you're not sure, type not sure. So just to get an idea of kind of how familiar you are with what a business model is. So again, if you know what it is, type yes. If you're not sure, type not sure. And if you don't know, and definitely know you don't know, type no. Okay, great. Javier. Okay. So let me know. Okay, Tanisha. Okay. All right, Lucia. Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. C to C or C to B. Business model is the same either way, Pritesh. So innocent, Michael. And one thing is some people may look at the business model different than others. But the way we're going to look at it is the key way, one of the most important ways you need to look at it and look at your business in general. So we're going to talk about what your business model is, why your business model is important, and how to improve profitability using your business model, because that's really why it's called the business model. It's a way to model your business so that you can improve your business and improve profitability. So let's take a look. So that's one of the things you'll learn. By participating, we're going to talk about how your business model works, and then how you can use that to become more profitable, and understand what it's telling you. And then we'll talk about some tools that you can use for optimizing. So those are some of the key things that we're going to learn and talk about today. And by doing this, it will help you to be able to work on your business instead of in it. Definitely have to go through the phase of small business owner working in it, but eventually you need to start working on your business. And we're going to talk about what that looks like and what that means, and the fact that you cannot work on your business model if you don't know what your business model is. developing your strategy to optimize your business model. Okay, putting everything in your business plan, your business strategy has to translate into numbers. So your business model, it models the strategy and the plan that you have. So how do you combine the two, and then it allows you to grow your business in a more profitable way. So that's what it's going to allow you to do. So let's take a look. Again, my name is Andrew Frazier, business growth pro and CFO, and started out in business as a paper boy back many years ago in Pittsburgh. Actually, with my brother, we started in 4th grade. We actually grew that business to include snow shoveling because we had a lot of snow in Pittsburgh, and had the opportunity to already know the customers, and we actually were able to hire our friends to help do the snow. So had early entrepreneurial experience, had an opportunity to do a lot of other things as well. Studied mechanical engineering at MIT. On graduation, I was commissioned as a U.S. Navy Supply Corps officer, where I ran all the business functions for a ship. Subsequent, I had different business manager roles before going back to NYU to get my MBA in finance and management. Graduating, I went to a Fortune 500 company, worked in investments as well as financial management, and earned my CFA designation, which is a little bit like a CPA, but for investment managers. So more on the finance versus accounting side. Been a corporate executive, real estate investor, run a nonprofit, and been involved with leadership of nonprofits. Of course, a business owner. The last 10, 12 years, full-time, I've been coaching, consulting, and training entrepreneurs and business owners, worked with over 500 business owners and taught thousands of people about business. And, that led me to really learn a lot about small business and a lot of the patterns and challenges that business owners have. And as a result, I was really able to combine that and write my first book over a 5-year period called Running Your Small Business Like a Pro. Also serve as an outsourced CFO for some manufacturing companies and do speaking. So wide range of experience and expertise, and really bringing that all together to help business owners be more successful. I've been working with the SBDC for 5 to 7 years, doing training as well as doing business counseling, which you'll learn more about later. So let's talk about your business model and what it is. So everybody, if you're ready to go and you want to learn about your business model, just check, type ready in the chat. And yeah, I have an audio book as well. So definitely as well. So let's see. Okay, so you guys ready? Everybody ready? Who else we got? Chris. Okay, great. Chris, Javier, Keeper, Michael. Okay, great. So let's take a look at your business model, what it is and how it works. Okay, Pritesh. Okay, so let's, one of the things that is important in businesses and anything else in life, you can't improve anything that you don't measure. So the first thing you have to do is have a goal and have a way to measure how you're doing versus the goal. So by measuring, it allows you to, one, understand, have a greater understanding of your business. It allows you to put in some controls to control your business better, and also gives you the information you need to improve your business. And as a business owner, your goal is to continually improve your business and make it better. So the first thing you got to do is measure. And what is it that you have to have in order to measure? Anybody, just type in the chat or unmute and tell me, if you're going to measure, what do you need? If you're going to measure performance or other stuff, what do you need to use? There you go, Chris. Numbers. And one of the things I wrote about is what is the greatest fear of many entrepreneurs and business owners? And it's numbers. A lot of them do not really use numbers. It's really more qualitative, and that is great, but it's really hard to improve your business if you don't have numbers and are measuring them. So that's what we're going to talk today about, is numbers. And this is why it's important, because your goal is to continually improve your business, and that's how you improve your profitability. So, one of the key things is, how many of you have ever read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber? If you have, type yes. If you haven't, type no. So it's The E-Myth, E-M-Y-T-H. And it's a classic. It's probably 30, 40 years old now, but still one of the best books ever on business. And, he's the first person that kind of laid out, you should be working on your business instead of in your business. And just a lot of perspective. It's called The E-Myth, Why Most Small Businesses Fail and What You Can Do About It. So that's something all business owners probably want to know. Hopefully you do. So based on that, I actually extended it to not only you're working in your business initially, where you're focused on your product and service delivery, but once you are able to do that, then you got to work on your business, where you're optimizing your business model, and then work on the future of your business. And that's where you build the market expansion and scaling your business. So you got to, first make sure you have a viable market and product and have a business. Then you got to optimize your business and make it better. And then you can grow it. And if you don't follow those, you have to follow those steps to be successful. So let's take a look at, what that means. So, one of the challenges is most business owners never make it to effectively working on their business. They're working in their business the whole time. And, when that happens, first off, your business is probably not sellable because your business is centered around you, and you'd have to sell yourself with your business. But not only that, it can't be as profitable, and you can't grow the same way if you don't make it to working on your business and optimize your business model. So less than 5% of businesses ever make it there. Even businesses who have been in business a long time, even businesses that are maybe selling a few $100,000 in revenue, depending on the business and the business owner, they may or may not get to the point where they optimize their business model. So what you learn about is key, because you should be thinking about that early on and from the beginning. So we've got the business model. And it's about understanding your numbers. So I'm just going to play a quick video to talk a little bit about that. So let's see how that goes.
I help business owners understand their numbers, start to look at them, help to put together key performance indicators, so that you have a plan, a budget, you look at how you're doing versus it, and you can make decisions on a timely basis to improve your business.
Excellent.
Okay, great. So now that we've talked a little bit about that, let's talk about what is your business model. Okay, and it's about how you generate revenue, looking at what are your costs and are your margins adequate. So your business model, it's also could be looked at as your P&L or your income statement, but using the business model as using that format to plan. So when you look at it, you've got your revenues on top, your revenues, your sales. You've got your variable expenses that you subtract. That gives you your gross profit. From there, you have your fixed expenses, and then that gives you your cash flow or your profits. So that's really what I'm talking about when I'm talking about your business model. So those of you who said you knew what a business model was, let me know is that the same as what you were thinking, or was it different than what you're thinking? Just type it in the chat, just same or different. It'd be good to kind of know, because sometimes they're different definitions. But generally when I look at it, and it's based on that. Okay, so different, Javier. Okay, and definitely a business model's good, but if you don't have numbers behind it, you can't measure it, and it's not really a model. So what the goal is to work on every piece of your business model to improve it. So when you're working on your business, you're working on your business model. So that's really what it's all about. Okay, so let's take a look. What does that mean? So the first piece is revenues. Revenues, otherwise known as sales, is one of the first ways that you want to work on your business model. We've also got looking at different ways to increase your revenues. So you increase your profitability and your cash flow by increasing your revenues. So as part of your business model and working on your business, you got to look at growing your revenues and how you do that. But just growing your revenues doesn't make you more profitable, but it can be a piece of becoming more profitable. And it leads towards that. So starting with your revenues, you want to grow your revenue. Next, you want to lower your cost of goods sold, or the factor, which is the percentage of cost of goods sold. But let me just show you a couple quick videos and see what these are and see if they can be helpful. Okay.
Today,
so the first one
model
is
and strategy are among the most sloppily used terms in business.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so let me set this up. So this talks a little bit about your business model and your strategy, and how to use those more effectively in business. So let's take a look and see what they're saying.
And strategy are among the most sloppily used terms in business, but these are separate concepts with enormous practical value. And when it comes to concepts so fundamental to success, no organization can afford fuzzy thinking. The term business model emerged when personal computers and spreadsheets became common, says Joan Magretta, a long-time editor at Harvard Business Review. Managers could use these tools to literally run the numbers to see models of how various decisions might affect the bottom line. A new business model might hinge on either a different way to make something or a different way to sell something. Take discount retailers like Kmart and Walmart, for example. These pioneers applied supermarket logic to the conventional department store and developed a discount retail model, which involved slashing costs by eliminating chandeliers, carpets, and personal service in exchange for lower prices. While business model is a description of how your business runs, a competitive strategy explains how you will do better than your rivals. So, for example, part of Walmart's unique strategy was to prioritize rural customers. In founder Sam Walton's own words, he put good-sized stores into little one-horse towns which everybody else was ignoring. And it worked. Focusing on rural areas let Walmart buy up land for cheap, target customers no one else was going after, and preempt other discount stores from entering the market in those areas. Their customer strategy thus reinforced other parts of their competitive strategy. In contrast, Kmart tried to appeal to everyone, and that's not a distinctive strategy.
So while they may have a good business model, without a clear strategy, they've struggled to stay competitive. So to get ahead of your rivals, you not only need a good business model and a clear strategy, you also need a clear understanding of the difference between the two.
Okay, so that's a quick video on your business model and your business strategy. As we go and look at the business model a little bit more, I mentioned that your business model is based on a model of your profit and loss, but using that to plan. So let's just go through, you may or may not have a lot of familiar with the profit and loss. So we'll just do a couple quick videos to kind of build on what it is and how it works. So let's take a look at one more here. Okay.
Don't.
Okay. And okay, let's go. Profit and loss. Here. Perfect. Okay.
Your actual sales, cost, and most importantly, bottom line, it's important to get in the habit of regularly creating a profit and loss statement. A profit and loss statement is a financial document that helps you determine specific information about how your business is performing. With a profit and loss statement, you can have a better understanding of your labor cost, the cost of your menu items, which dishes perform better than others, and how this all affects your bottom line. Let's get started. First, choose a time period that you want to analyze. This can be weekly, monthly, quarterly, and it's really up to you. Whatever time frame you choose, it's a good idea to create these statements regularly in order to compare how your business changes. Next, you'll want to record your sales in that time frame. Record how much your restaurant has brought in on categories such as food, wine, beer, liquor, and soft drinks. This way you'll have a better idea of how each category performs. You'll want to follow this with recording your cost of goods sold. This is just another way of saying the total dollar value of all the ingredients used to create each dish during that time frame. If your restaurant has standard recipes, this should be fairly simple to calculate. Add up the cost of ingredients for each dish, then multiply that by the number of dishes sold over the duration of the time period. It's important to do this for each dish on your menu. Next, calculate the amount that you spend on labor. This includes both salary and hourly wages, employee benefits, and payroll taxes. Calculate your operating expenses, things like suppliers, repairs, marketing and advertising, and music. Next, calculate your operating costs. Unlike operating expenses, these are fixed costs that you can't change, like rent, real estate, and property insurance. Finally, calculate your business's depreciation. Depreciation is the decreasing value of an asset, in this case your restaurant. Now that that's done, let's take a look at what your data is telling you. Click the card above to view the next video.
Okay, great. So hopefully that's helpful to give a little bit more about how you create a profit and loss. And let's take another look at really how you understand the profit and loss, because definitely understanding that is key in being able to do what, achieve the goals. So let's take a look. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're going to look at part 2 of the profit and loss and go from there.
And loss statement, let's put it to work. Let's take a look at what we can learn from the information that we gathered. If you haven't yet gathered this information, click the link above to watch the previous video. You can find the percentage of sales of each of your categories by adding the sales amounts of each of the categories you chose. Divide a specific sales category by your total sales, then multiply the resulting number by 100 to find the percent of sales that category accounts for. Sales percentages are really useful to see where your restaurant's strengths and weaknesses are, and it can give you insight on where your sales are coming from. You can find your gross profit by subtracting your total sales by the total cost of goods sold, the sum of how much you spend in each category during their time period. Gross profit represents what you have available to put towards other expenses and profit. Your prime cost is the sum of your total cost of goods sold and your total labor cost. Prime cost represents the bulk of your controllable expenses, which you can influence through adjusting labor costs or through changes to the ingredients in your dishes. Operating expenses are the controllable expenses involved in running your day-to-day operations. This includes things like supplies, repairs, upgrades, marketing and advertising, and music and entertainment. Occupancy expenses are the fixed overhead costs related to things like the rent, real estate, and property insurance. These costs are fixed because you do not have the ability to alter or change them. Finally, your net profit or loss can be found by subtracting your value lost, total occupancy costs, total operating costs, and prime cost from your total sales. Here's your bottom line, and it's a key indicator of how your business performed over a duration of time. It takes a lot to calculate these metrics. If you don't want to do it yourself, click the link above to download a free profit and loss statement template. Just add in the numbers and
Okay, so that gives you, I guess a way to, understand and how to create your profit and loss. And one last short video to talk about an example, and then we'll start going through the profit and losses together so you can better understand sort of what the goal is and what we're working towards. So let me share the screen again. Okay.
What is a profit and loss report? Let's see. Profit and loss report, also known as income statement, is a type of financial report that has one main purpose: to show how easy it is for a company to create new wealth. Understanding the rationale of the report and learning how to use it can help you to understand how companies generate new wealth, help managers to improve the way the company generates wealth, and more importantly, also can help you identify businesses that generate wealth easily, opening the door to using this information to generate a lot of wealth for yourself and your family. It is an incredibly easy report and well worth your while to understand. Let's begin. At the very beginning, I want to introduce you to Jennifer and Mike. Jennifer is a lively, life-enjoying attorney that lives in a $2 million apartment in New York City. She drives a new Maserati Gran Turismo she just bought for $190,000. She earns about $270,000 per year working for a law firm. Mike is a software engineer, earning about $110,000 per year. He drives a nice car he bought 3 years ago for $20,000 and lives in a rented house that costs $2,200 per month in Orlando. Now, let's see if you can correctly establish who is going to possess $1 million first, Mike or Jennifer. All we need to find out is the answer to the next question: how easy it would be for each to earn $1 million in new wealth. To solve the question, we need to use the tool called Profit and Loss, P&L, or income statement. Let's see how it works. First, obviously we would need to find out the entire story. What people earn is just half of the story. We need to find out about expenses. Well, here they are. Jennifer pays $156,000 per year to pay down her mortgage. She has been told that unless she starts paying back her loan to Dad, she is in trouble. Additional $30,000 per year. She also pays an additional $26,000 to her student loan originators. She needs another $50,000 per year for living and general expenses. Here's what that looks like, ignoring tax for the moment. This is the correct picture. Jennifer generates new wealth, net income, to the tune of $8,000 per annum. Somewhat disappointing taking into account the size of her salary. The main thing we can do to answer the question of how easy it is to generate new wealth is to find the ratio of her net income to her gross income. In Jennifer's case, only about 3% of her salary turns into net income, or new wealth, also called profit margin. Let's look at Mike's current expenses now. Mike spends about $36,000 on living. He has some expenses connected to some private projects he is entitled to pay at about $10,000 a year. His rent is $26,400 per year. For each $110,000 of gross income, Mike is generating net income of $37,600, which is about 34%. Now, that's a very good profit margin. In business, when the profit margin is high, we understand that someone is willing to pay well for something that is easy to produce, which takes little investment to make. For example, Apple is selling smartphones at 40% profit margin, while on the other hand, another company like Huawei is selling smartphones at 12% profit margin. As a rule of thumb, the higher the profit margin, the better it is. Congratulations! You now understand the basics of a profit and loss report, also known as an income statement. A couple of things to remember before you move on. 1. P&L is always done over a known time period, month, year, quarter. 2. P&L does not answer another question regarding wealth, which is how much new wealth is generated from one's asset or possession's valueless obligations. Check out Balance Sheet Tip for more on that.
Okay. Great. So hopefully those were a little bit helpful just to give you some perspective on P&L. I'm going to talk to you about it as well, but before we go into depth on it, I want to make sure at least everybody has a certain understanding of it and of it, of what it is. So if you can just type real quick, let me know if you liked the videos and they were helpful. Just type helpful if they were, not helpful if they weren't. Okay, cool, thanks. Okay, good, because yeah, it's good to gauge that. Always try new things, and being online allows me to kind of use video and other things to enhance the learning. So great, thanks for letting me know. So now that you guys are experts at the profit and loss, right? So then we can, if you're ready to move forward, just type ready, and we'll get started on going into some detail on the business model and really how you can use that to increase your profitability. So excellent. Okay, so you guys are ready. So let's get started, and let's get it started. And the first thing we looked at previously was the top of the statement is your revenue. Okay, and from there, and we talked about you want to increase your revenue, all things being equal. Increasing your revenue leads towards greater profitability, but not always. So it's, you have to use each of these things in conjunction to figure out, if you're increasing your revenue or not. So the first part is revenue. Now we're going to look at cost of goods sold. When we think of cost of goods sold, it's really your cost of sales. So, you always use an example. If you're a store and you sell soup, okay, you buy your soup for 50 cents a can and you sell it for $1 a can. So that means that your revenue on a can of soup is $1 and your variable expense on a can of soup is 50 cents. So every time you sell a can of soup, you make 50 cents. So when you're looking at, your revenues, your variable expenses, 50 cents per can is a variable expense because variable expense have a direct relationship with sales. And what that means is the more you sell, the more that goes up. So it, each can you sell, your variable cost goes up. So when you look at it that way, you can model your business. So if you sell $100 worth of soup, that means your variable expense is going to be $50. So 50%. If you sell $1 million worth of soup, then your variable expense is going to be 500,000. So that 50%, that's your variable cost of goods sold factor or percentage, helps build the relationship between your sales and your variable expenses. And you subtract that out, and that gives you your gross profit. And then you have your fixed expenses separately, and then your cash flow. Any idea why we separate variable expenses and fixed expenses? Just type it in the chat, or feel free to unmute. But why would we need variable and fixed expenses? Because if you look at the bottom, you could say revenues minus variable expenses minus fixed expenses equals cash flow. So you could also say that revenues minus expenses is cash flow. So why do we need to break them apart? Any idea? What obviously we wouldn't break it apart if it wasn't. Okay, taxation. Good thought, but doesn't necessarily, not what I was looking for. Variable expenses can be controlled. I would say that's not exactly what I'm looking for, but good thought, good thought, and to increase cash flow. Okay, they can. You can't change fixed expenses. Well, actually you can change fixed expenses. But I think, one thing that you're getting at is variable expenses behave in a different way than fixed expenses. So by breaking them up, that helps you to be able to actually build a model of how your business will work. Okay. So if you didn't break them up, you wouldn't be able to do a break-even analysis. There's a lot of things that you would not be able to do if you didn't break up the variable and the fixed expenses. So when we're looking at variable and fixed expenses, you want to look at the cost of goods sold, and it's as a percentage. So let's see. So we've got variable expenses minus fixed expenses gives us a gross profit, and then minus fixed expenses. So, and actually, the gross profit and the percentage of it is your gross margin. So we're going to talk about absolute numbers, but then we're also going to talk about percentages. And in many cases, actually, the percentages are more important than the absolute numbers. And you'll see why as we go forward. But part of the goal is you want to decrease your variable expenses, which will increase your gross profit. So, and also increase your gross profit margin. So now let's take a look at our fixed expenses. Okay. Oh, and actually, I've got a gross margin video. So let's take a look, see what we got there. Okay. 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 Let's see. Share screen. Okay. All right. So then oh, okay. Actually, sorry about that. Let's redo this. Okay, share back to screen 2.
A business gross margin is a rough gauge of how profitable its operations are. It measures how much sales revenue the company retains after all the direct costs associated with making a product or providing a service are accounted for. Direct costs refer to materials, labor, and expenses related to producing a product. Overhead expenses such as management salaries and the cost of building a corporate headquarters are not direct costs. The greater a business margin, the more money it will have to invest in other important areas such as marketing and research. Gross margin is generally quoted as a percentage of the company's sales. Just take revenue generated for a given period, subtract the production expenses, otherwise known as the cost of goods sold, and divide this entire figure by revenue. Let's take a look at Rose Candy Company. The company earns annual revenue of $1 million and has a cost of goods sold totaling $700,000. This gives the company a gross margin of 30%. This means that Rose Candy retains 30 cents from each dollar of total revenue made. Say that Rose Candy's main competitor, Lily Chocolate, enjoys a margin of close to 40%. This could mean that Lily Chocolate has lower input costs such as raw materials and wages for its factory workers. It could also mean that Lily Chocolate gets away with selling at higher prices by offering specialty items. In either case, Rose Candy will likely want to adjust its strategy to remain competitive in the long run. While it doesn't give an investor the whole picture when it comes to profitability, gross margin is extremely useful as a yardstick to make sure that a company is operating with maximum efficiency.
Okay, great. So we've got gross margin now. Okay. So now we're going to talk a little bit about fixed costs and what they mean and what they are. So when we're talking about fixed costs, variable costs move in line or have a direct relationship with sales. Well, fixed costs, they do not have a relationship with sales. And basically you can develop these, you can develop fixed costs or think of them in terms of expenses that you have to pay whether or not you make any sales. So what kinds of things are those? That might be rent, that might be utilities, but your utilities vary. So, it can be a little bit confusing, but when you think of fixed costs, it's things that you have to pay whether you make sales or not, but fixed costs can vary, okay? So just because it varies doesn't make it a variable cost. A variable cost has to vary with a direct relationship with sales. So if sales go up, that cost goes up. If sales go down, that cost goes down. So, looking at your fixed expenses and how to manage and optimize your fixed expenses to help you be more profitable. Okay. And then, at the end, at the bottom, you've got cash flow, profit, and, that's what you end up with. So really you're using the model to make adjustments to really, be able to increase your profit. So, your goal, you're going to be working on increasing your revenue and decreasing your variable expenses and decreasing your fixed expenses. So a combination of that will maximize your profitability. And that's what it is when you're working on your business. When you're working on your business, you're working to, maximize your profitability. So you're working on, how do I increase my revenues? How do I decrease my variable expenses? And how do I decrease my fixed expenses? And how does doing all those things add up to greater profits? And you have to remember that there's relationships. Your marketing expense is a fixed expense, but if you don't market, you may have to spend more on marketing to grow your revenues. So you have to offset, well, how much more and is it worth it? So, when you think of it, every single dollar you spend is an investment. And you need to think about, well, what is my return on that investment and why do I have to make that investment? And how does that affect my revenues? How does it affect my variable expenses, fixed expenses? And what impact does it have on my cash flow and profitability? One of the things I mention a lot is if you want to be a successful business owner, you have to be cheap. You have to be frugal and make sure that every dollar you're making, you're investing. So you've got your business model here. So we've gone through the business model, and then when you're looking at profits, your absolute number of profits is good, but even more importantly is your percentage of profits. So when you look at it, your profit margin, or your profits divided, or your sales divided by your profits, that gives you your profit margin. And that tells you how much per dollar of sales that you keep. So on the video, you saw that they talked about one company, 30 cents out of every dollar they spend goes to the gross margin. And then after you take your fixed expenses out, that'll give you your net margin, or your profit margin. And by that calculation, and what you find is, when you get down to the profit margin, it's usually way smaller than you would think, especially in product companies, and especially the bigger your company is. So if you have if you look at some of the biggest companies, especially gas companies, oil and gas companies, their sales might be $50 billion, but their profits might be $1 billion. So, at the end of the day, their profit margin is 2%. So that means 2 cents out of every dollar of sales that they make is profits. But because they're so large, and because they do so much sales per employee, they can still do well. Whereas smaller companies, you need a higher profit margin so that your final profit dollar amount is adequate. So following the model, and looking at the margins, which is the percentages based on versus sales, that gives you your profit margin. So let's take a look at, how do we do this? It's one thing to know what to do, but it's another thing to know how to do what you need to do. So one of the first things that you do is you want to optimize your revenue. So how do you optimize your revenue? There's different strategies you can take on the revenue side to increase your revenue. So you have the ability to increase your transactions. So if you sell more per transaction, then that can result in revenue growth. If you attract more customers, that can result in revenue growth. You could raise prices. That could result in revenue growth. And you could also have more frequent transactions. So, all those things are strategies you can have for increasing revenue. But you have to also keep into account the thing that what makes sense at the end of the day is your profitability. So of course you can raise prices, but is that going to cause you to have less customers? You can increase transaction size if you can get more people to buy your products or services. You can attract more customers, but you have to market to get to more customers. And you could potentially increase the frequency of your transactions different ways. So let's talk about increasing transaction size. If you could put in chat, how might you increase your transaction size of your business? So what could you do to increase the transaction size? And what do other businesses do? Okay, so discounts. So you could do discounts as long as the discounts lead to people buying more each transaction. That could lead to increased transactions size, but it could also lead to just lower transaction size, because if they still only buy the same thing but buy it at a discount. Okay, upsell from the basic product. Okay, so you keep what you have, but then you upsell. So do you want to supersize it? That's like the ultimate upsell. So thinking about ways you can upsell at point of sale, buy one, get one off. So, you're paying for the first one and you're working to get people to buy something else at a discount. So yeah, no, those great ideas, promotions. So, your business model and optimizing it, it's really tied to your business strategy. And, it guides you, it helps you drive your business strategy. So you can look at, different ways that you can increase transaction size. What can you do to create more frequent transactions? Just throw it in the chat. Any ideas? What could you do for your business to increase and have more frequent transactions? Okay, incentives. Okay, what else? Okay, what, 10 minutes. Okay, so all right, so you could potentially additional massage, frequent buyer club. Okay, that can get them back. Limited time options, so maybe after they buy something, you give them a limited time option for something else. Okay, and you want to be creative. Business success in business is about being proactive, being creative, and being flexible. So, being proactive, this isn't going to do itself. Your business model is not going to optimize itself. You're not going to have, your business is not going to maximize profitability by itself. So you have to be proactive. This is something you have to drive, and you have to run your business. You have to be creative. There's many different strategies you can do for these things, but you have to think through which way you're going to do it and which way is best for your business. You've got 4 revenue expansion strategies there, but you don't necessarily have to try and employ all 4. You may just want to choose one that you want to focus on. If you have a product and you're selling it, you feel you're selling it too low, maybe you focus on raising prices. If you have a product that you have customers, but there's no way your customers can buy any more, maybe they just need it once a month and they buy it once a month, then the only way to grow your revenues is getting more customers. Increasing your transaction size, or more frequent transactions. But how can you know if you're doing that? If you employ this strategy, how can you know whether it's working? What do you have to do? Go and put in the chat, or you can unmute and say it. But if you're doing revenue expansion strategies, how can you know whether it's working? What do you have to do? Anybody? All right, I'll give you a minute. So what do you have to do? This is very important. You have to, okay, you have to record sales, because if you don't record your sales and track it, you can't know if it's working, right? So we talked about using numbers, and you can't improve anything without using numbers. So you have a goal, you see how you did versus the goal, and then you can know whether what you're investing in your strategy is working. And you can know quickly if you're looking at it on a daily or weekly basis, so that you can make adjustments as necessary. If it's not working, try and do something different. If it is working, try and do more of it. So you want to look at expanding your revenue, but you also have to expand your revenue profitably. It doesn't make sense to help to sell more, but sell it at a loss. So that's cool. So yeah, so then more sales can help your profit margin to increase. So that's the first step, looking at and working on your revenue expansion. Second piece is, looking at your variable costs. So how can you lower your variable costs? What can you do? you can buy more at a better price. As you grow, businesses become more profitable. So when you think, what does it mean when it says, how could you also say, or what's one word, a phrase that says, as your business grows, you become more profitable. What does that mean? Okay. So throw it in the chat as we're going. So think about it. If your business grows and you become more profitable, what is it? What is another way to say that? Okay. You can also, shop around. You could increase efficiency. If you're creating a product or whatever, you can, increase efficiency of your labor, which will lower your costs as well. You could use technology, or you could just redesign your product or service so that it's less expensive. So there's different ways to lower your variable costs, and you don't need to lower a huge amount. Every penny matters. So looking at those strategies, because also, maybe you save a penny, but that's a penny every time you sell the product. So if you sell 100,000 of the product, that's 1,000 more in profitability you're going to have, because each lower cost goes straight to the bottom line and goes straight to your profits. So, by optimizing, or lowering your variable costs, that can significantly increase your profitability. If you can save $1 off the cost of your product and you sell 1,000 of them, that gives you $1,000 more in profit. So, little things can make a huge difference. You also want to minimize your fixed costs. You may be able to, lower the cost of your office expenses, figure out how to market more effectively and less expensively, especially with digital marketing and other things. There's a lot more ways that you can market less expensively. Save different ways to save time, technology, make the most of your space. Maybe you can sublet some of it to cover your rent. Make your employees as as prepared as possible so that they can they can do the best job possible for you. You'll make sure your quality, you want to focus on quality. A lot of businesses lose a lot of money, not because of the real cost of stuff, but because of quality problems where you have to rework or you have to redo. That can take a lot of time and money. And it's surprising how much loss there is because of not delivering quality the first time and all the time. So that's another way to lower your costs and lower your expenses. So these are different ways that you can minimize your fixed costs, which is important. And then looking back at the business model, you're looking at your revenues minus your variable expenses or cost of goods sold, gives you your gross profit. And then you subtract out your fixed expenses, that gives you your cash flow or your profitability. And that really is about your business model. And the key is to take that business model, work on it, and improve it. Let's do an example. Tell me what type of businesses you have. If someone could put in the chat what type of business they have, and then we can talk about how we can increase your profitability. So who wants to learn specifically for their business? So notary, okay. So Lou Keeper, you were first, notary. So what type of notary? Are you mobile? Tell me, can you unmute and tell us a little bit about your business? Okay. All right. Okay, Lou, you want to unmute and tell us a little bit about your business, your notary business, and then we'll talk through how you can increase your profitability. All right, so going once, going twice. All right, so I can only do so much without a little more info, but let's talk about that. And then we'll take another example as well. But for notary business, we talked about revenue. So depending, there may be an opportunity to charge more for a notary. I don't know if you're a mobile notary or who your customers are. And if your customers have a set price, you may not be able to increase your price. But if they don't, increasing price is one way. Getting more customers. How might you go get more customers? Increase, costs. Can you do your notary virtually? I don't know. Could you, or do you go to customers, or do they come to you? Or maybe you could get them to come to you. If you go to them, maybe you can get a car with better gas mileage, so that it'll cost you less to go there. Different ways so looking at your expenses. So let's see, let's try another one so I can, it helps to talk through it with you. So whoever wants to unmute and chat about your business, we can do that now.
I'm sorry. Hi, good afternoon. This is Marlene.
Hey,
Yes, happy to be here. It would be basically mine. It would be an online boutique, e-commerce.
Okay. Okay. And are you up and running, or you're looking to get up and running?
I started trying to take the steps, the necessary steps.
Okay. Are you making any sales yet?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about your business model and how you can maximize profitability. Where are you going to be selling it, your products?
It's going to be online.
Well, where online?
My own website.
Okay, so you're going to sell everything from your website?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then you're going to sell everything from your website. So the way to increase profits is get more people to or increase revenues is get more people to your website, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so you need to have a plan for that. You may want to think about, how do you get people to buy more? And so you may want to have some upsells or whatever. You're buying products. So you're buying products at a certain cost. Your pricing, how you price, is going to have an impact on your ability to increase revenue. So, looking at those as potential strategies to maximize your revenues. Looking at your variable costs. Okay, where are you getting your product from? Are you making your product? So will you be making your products, or will you be buying and reselling?
It's going to be reselling.
Okay, so you may want to look at different suppliers. How can you get a better price from different suppliers?
Mm-hmm.
You may want to look at larger quantities. Can I get a better price from buying a larger quantity? And can I save on variable costs? Can I find a way to do less expensive shipping? Can I find a way to looking at different ways to decrease your variable cost?
Mm-hmm.
And then what you can do is, but you have to keep in mind that, okay, if you upsell at a discount, that's going to decrease your variable cost. I mean, that's going to increase your variable cost, okay, because you're not going to make the same. So each one can impact other areas. in positive and negative ways. So, it's not just doing stuff to maximize revenue, because, you may be creating more expenses as well. So now your fixed expenses. So you're online, so you don't have to have a location. Online businesses are great because your expenses can be streamlined a whole bunch. You need a website. You may need somebody to design your website. So there you need to market. So looking at your fixed expenses, which ones do you need, and what type of return are you going to get on each one? And then you've got, and then combining those together, that's how you work on your business model to make your business more profitable. That makes sense?
Makes sense.
Okay. All right. So, and it's better to work on it before you start. The earlier the better, because the more profitable the better. So, this is good timing. Glad that you were able, and thanks for letting us use your business as an example. Anyone else want to
Thank you.
talk through your business?
Moving.
Okay. Okay, Charles. So tell us a little bit about your business. So you're up and running and doing a moving company?
Yeah, we've been up and running. I believe we met several times on several networking events.
Okay.
I own a moving and storage company for the past 21 years, and we provide residential and commercial moving services to household and corporations.
Okay. Okay. So now, did your sales grow from 2019 to 2020?
It shrunk.
Okay. What about 2018 to 2019?
Okay, 2018, 2019 was a great year because there was no COVID, and the real estate market was at its peak, and people were moving into bigger houses and some downsizing, and a lot of movement. But when COVID hit, it gave us 360 degrees, and it's kind of hard to go into houses to provide those kind of services, and people are not moving, and you just have to be extra careful with your men being having the COVID or giving the COVID to a customer.
Okay. Yep. Yep. So now, what type of strategies have you done to try and increase your revenues? What do you do?
Yeah, we are increasing on our SEOs, and also trying to do a lot of Zoom networking, and doing other networking to see how we can reach out to people.
Okay.
To see the trends, how things are. People are moving all right, but now it's an issue to have the manpower to go out and do the job.
Okay. Okay. So you're doing marketing to try and get new customers.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what about your customers? Are you looking, what is there anything you employ to try and make more on each customer?
More in terms of revenue?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we have to make extra revenue because of the PPE in place, and how to, now it's costing us more money to do a job that costs $1,000, because you have to make sure you spend money for PPEs and make sure that you change your moving equipment around. And it's giving more time for the guys to make the hours to set a truck for the next job. So it's costing more money, but it's kind of hard for the customers to pay that kind of increase. So it's kind of hard to make profit margin, but you're still making some profit margin, but it's kind of a little bit lesser than what you anticipate to make.
Okay, so basically, your revenues are staying the same, but your costs are going up in that situation.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. And is that good or bad?
It is not good. So, for instance, when we finish a job, we need to spray the whole truck, take the whole moving equipment out, stack them in a wardrobe box, make sure we disinfect everything, put them away for 48 hours, and reload the truck with a different equipment. So we have to spend more money for extra equipment so that we can change things around to avoid the COVID stuff. So more money is being spent, but not too much coming in.
Okay. Is there any reason you can't charge more?
When we charge more, then we don't become competitive because there are other movers that don't have any overhead expenses. So they just go there, lowball the job, and when they have the job, it's a whole different thing altogether. But being with our reputation in the industry, we have to make sure we give them the honest price. And when they see that price, they think we're expensive, and it becomes a problem for us to convert them into dollars.
Okay. So, definitely that. One challenge is, as a small business, having the lowest cost many times isn't, competing on price isn't the best strategy.
Right.
So you may also want to look at, how can I help people understand the value of going with us versus someone else? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So what we are doing, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So what we are doing is that we are making our customers that we are selling them service. So we analyze our Google Analytics, and we are trying to change the demographics to see that customers that can afford our services without any issue. So those are the things that we are looking for. So we are changing our Google AdWords and our keywords to attract a different demographics.
Okay, good. Okay, so you're changing, you're looking at a different target market.
That's correct.
That you can charge appropriately for. So that's one way to grow.
Yes, sir.
And that's why it's so important to look at your target market. Who's most likely to buy from you? Who values your offering the most?
Yes.
Because some people, they're always going to go for the cheapest.
Right.
But that may not be who you want to target, because the only way you can be the low cost provider is either have the lowest costs or the highest volume. And as a small business, you can't, it's hard to have the highest volume, and usually you don't have lower costs either. So you don't want to compete in that space.
That is correct.
So you got to compete on more personalized service, maybe having insurance, being more flexible, different things like that, so you can still charge enough money, but you also have to offer that to the right people, the people who value that.
Yes, and insurance is a must, because without insurance, you cannot operate. But the road movers who don't have insurance, they don't have that overhead. So they are the one that are lowballing the industry. And customers think that is a great price and they have to go with them. So they're not spending money, but they're making the money.
Right.
And you can't stay competitive with them. So you just need to change your target market, and that is what we're doing.
There you go. So yeah, so that's another way to do that. Maybe you can upsell, sell them boxes in addition to moving services.
Absolutely.
And look at different things. So yeah, so just as you're thinking about revenues, what can you do to increase your revenues, but also you got to look at your variable costs.
That's correct. So yeah, we're doing plastic containers. So we upsell them, we provide that for them doing the move. Then after the move, we go back there to collect it. So this we are able to upsell them by selling them a plastic containers, and some of them like it because it's going green without but as we using the recycle stuff. So they like that, and that's how we upsell.
Okay, good. Okay, and so so that's that's really looking at how can you grow your revenues, what you're doing, looking at your costs. You want to understand all your extra costs so you can be sure that you're making money each job, because if you're not making money on some jobs, then it's not worth doing them many times. Sometimes you might make enough money that it might be worth doing it just because, you know, it's giving you more money towards your fixed expenses. But, you know, that's why it's important to look at your business model and see how everything affects your business model.
Yes, sir.
And that's what working on your business is. You know, but you can't work on your business well if you don't have employees and possibly a supervisor so that you can spend the time to work on your business. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Because then you can spend more time and you can really focus on it better. You can market better. You can work on your costs better. And, you know, so that's got to be, you know, the goal as a business owner. And by doing that, you know, your business will run smoother. You'll have more capacity so you can grow. And that's really, really the goal. So, okay. Thank you, Charles. Thanks for letting us use you as an example as well.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Okay, great. Any questions?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, yeah, because I sent you a chat. Anyway, I don't know if we have time. Could you still use my business or?
Real quick, so tell me what you're doing.
Okay. I have a tea shop. I sell loose leaf teas, some bags and stuff, because I need to accommodate people who wouldn't use loose leaf teas, but mostly loose leaf teas. And I mean, this period has really been good for my business, funny enough. I managed to maintain contact with my customers, but then I've gained other customers because of the health needs, and that's been a way to also bring people in. I have a lot of information, you know, on their health and how tea is good for them and stuff like that. So that has helped. But I'm at a point where it just seems I'm doing a whole lot because I'm constantly working on increasing everything. And I think I think I've gotten to a point where I need an employee to actually be in the shop when I'm running around and doing other things. And I'm not sure, you know, I need to work more on the numbers because I'm just all over, you know, doing everything. So sometimes it's like I have the customers, I have the orders, and I'm trying to keep up, and it's just a lot. So I'm just curious if you have maybe other ideas about how to grow.
Okay. So no, I mean, you run into this similar challenge as many business owners. You end up having to work in your business all the time because you don't have the bandwidth. So, you know, the key is you got to be real careful about hiring employees because you don't want to just hire them and fire them. And you have to have enough work and be bringing in enough money to afford them. And you know, one important thing is you got to look at your pricing because many small businesses don't charge enough. And if you don't charge enough, you can't afford to have an employee. So that's one reason why you got to do the numbers because, you know, you got to still make sure you're making money. Sometimes you may, you know, if you're busy and you need more time, maybe you shorten your day. You may not, you know, look at the time frames when people actually buy from you. Maybe you could shave a day, an hour or whatever off or on certain days. You know, a lot of restaurants close on Mondays because they don't really make enough to be open. And they use that as a day to do other stuff. So you want to be creative and think about, you know, what can I do? And then build up enough business that's regular so that you can bring on an employee or bring on, you know, a contractor so that you can increase and look at bringing on freelancers to do certain stuff. You can bring on people to help with marketing or other things as well. So it doesn't necessarily always have to be someone in the store. But if you could sell enough by not being in the store that you're going to make more than enough to pay for the other person in the store and make more money, then you
Right.
should be out selling. But you got to do the numbers to make sure you know what's going on.
Right.
Make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Because sometimes by not being in the store right now, it's actually it works better for me when I'm not in the store, because I would even say, oh, I'll drop it off for you. I mean, and I drop stuff off, and especially during COVID, people are happy about that. And I just, sometimes I don't have to be there at all.
Right. But if you're supposed to be open, it's good to be there. But you can change your hours. You can do stuff more virtually too. So, look at everything, be creative about it. So, okay.
Okay.
Feel free to, if you want to schedule some time, talk to Koa, and she can do that. Roger,
yeah, I would love to do that. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hey, Roger, I see yours in the chat. 7 years in a grocery store. That's great. Okay, so you got the 35% margin. But yeah, like you said, the net margin's only 2%. So that means 2 cents out of every dollar that people spend becomes profit. So, looking at ways to increase the net, and, same thing we're talking about, different ways to, grow your business, decrease your costs, increase revenues. If you want to talk specifically about it, be glad to chat in more detail. Just, schedule some time with Dakoa, and, we can do that. And same, Javier, e-commerce. So yours is similar to what Marlene is looking at with her online boutique, which we had talked about. And then Sharon, you've got your spa, and similarly, you want to be creative. Can you charge more? Who are the right customers so that you can charge more? Or how do you reach more customers? And how do you decrease your costs? So all those things. We can continue and chat more about that. Feel free to schedule a time. And this has been great. Thanks for the chat, making it a little bit more interactive so we could talk about real examples, and taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this afternoon. So that's great. I appreciate it. And I'll turn it back over to Koa so you can wrap everything up. But thank you for hanging out.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for that informative presentation and for your time today.
Okay.
So right now I'm sharing my screen to show our contact information. So we have there our email address. If you have any questions, or if you're looking to request counseling, feel free to do so via our email, or you can visit our website, www.rnsbdc, and there you can actually request counseling, and we have many different topics you can choose from, and we will match you with a consultant within 24 to 48 business hours. So if anyone is interested in receiving that one-on-one post-consultation appointment with Andrew Fraser, feel free to click on the raise hand button on your screen, and I will take note of that and create that appointment. At this time, I would like to direct you all to the chat. There you will find some of our upcoming events, the link to our Eventbrite page, and as well as the link to our website. Let me just paste that in right there. Great, so on the top of that post, I have the one-on-one business consulting link. You can actually go to and request counseling there. And on the bottom of it, I also have our Eventbrite page and our website page where you can register for our other webinars, workshops, and trainings. I do suggest that you may copy these links down or paste them in a Word document or a draft in an email, just so that you can have these quick links after the webinar has ended. And these webinars are only a handful of the ones that we are hosting this year. I believe we have about 150 different webinars in topics ranging from finances, marketing, e-commerce, credit counseling, cybersecurity, and so much more. So please feel free to visit our website and find the webinar that fits your business needs. Just a reminder, to you all. You will be receiving a video replay as well as the presentation slides within 48 to 72 business hours. So you can always refer back to the webinar in the future. After this webinar has ended, in the browser, you will see a survey pop up. That survey will help us to adjust our presentations in the future, as well as give us some type of information on the kind of assistance you may be needing for your business. So again, if you have some time to complete that, your feedback is much appreciated. And on that note, we will now end this webinar. I want to thank you again, Andrew, for sharing your expertise with us. And thank you to all of our attendees for taking the time out to attend. Thank you for your questions and as well as participating with us today. And we look forward to seeing you at our future webinars. Have a great day, everyone.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.